everybody, my name is Aurora. This is a video for #MadeWithArcade. So I'm a musician. I'm actually a huge devotee and fan of Arcade by Output, and this is a little example of how I usually spend my morning. First of all, superfood coffee. Second of all, I'm usually in my pajamas, but I decided to get dressed for this particular video. And third of all, music. Music is what makes my day go. Music is the gas in my car that makes my life go. So I have my setup over here. You can see I've got Ableton Live going, I have Ableton Push, and then I have my keyboard that is set up as MIDI that can play almost anything over here. And this is a normal part of my day of how I get going on my workflow of making a song. So I figured I would just make a little something for you and show you how I do this. I actually have released several albums using Arcade by Output as the basis for a lot of my original music on top of that. So the sample library is fantastic. I love the way that it's pre-sliced. I love the surprising things that I will find in the way that these musical palettes are put together. And then I love the way that my own artistry comes forward and jumps on top of those pre-existing sound palettes. So one of my favorites, they're called lines over here. One of my favorite lines as I'm scrolling is called Pop Underground. I actually did a lot of great songs off of Pop Underground. So, and let me just put this down over here. I'll start off with one of these newer ones. I've used almost all of them at this point, but I love them so much. I'll start off with this one that's actually called Aurora. All right, and then I usually minimize this. This is in A sharp minor. Hope you can see my screen. Yeah, you can see my screen. And hold on, sorry, this is a little bit boring while I just try to make my screen, set my workflow. Yeah, so I usually just minimize this so I can see what I'm doing on my screen. Set up a nice area here where beginning with a nice beat. Just making sure that my monitor is up. Let's hear it. And a lot of the time I work with my headphones because I find I can hear the subtleties even better than when I'm working with my monitors, and really enjoy being able to create subtleties. Hold on one moment, get this together. I know you're gonna watch me fiddling with equipment a lot, don't worry. Fiddle with equipment. Hold on, let's get going. Thank you. Good. So I've got that down as just like a basic foundation. I usually start with percussion as the basic foundation. Now, just to save myself some work, I'll go into duplicate, erase what I've just done on the next track, and then begin with the next instrument. So here we've got. First I usually listen to it dry, and then I see what the different sound, effects sound like on there. Now I can already hear I want to add a little something to this. That's going to be something from one of my drum racks over here. one's called Hollow Points. It's one of the Ableton drum racks. Turn that up a little bit. So the other ones were set up for 8. This one I'm setting up for 16. I like to do things that have some variety in what they're doing so that your ears don't get bored throughout a song. And then I also save things obsessively. Because when you are working with something and you like the way it sounds, save it. Save your stuff obsessively. So we're going to do file save. Alright, so I usually save it under the day's date. So a lot of my songs are just named the day's date. Titles are hard. Okay, now I'm going to go back to arcade and see what's the next instrument there. So I do a blend. I do a blend of arcade's instruments and my instruments. I drink coffee. Coffee is life. I know my face looks very tired right now. And after I set up foundations like this, then I will do a nice melody line. And from a melody line, I have a couple of favorite synthesizers. I really like Rolly's guitar overdrive setting from Rolly Connect. And that's a nice little emphasis there. And you know, I just want you to know, I've used this sound palette before, but it sounds different. Every time you do it, you can make a new song and it sounds different. Recording. To the next one. Let's see what else we got here. This one needs to get turned up a little bit. Solo so I can hear what I'm doing at this point. I like it. So yeah, that's one of the things that I praise in the arcade over here. There's always very interesting things that I can do with each sample in terms of making it even more delicious than when it first came out of the box. So you start off with some pre-mixed flavors, but then you add flavors to it. And the sound levels really matter of how much something comes through in the mix. All right, now, so I hope you could hear that okay, because this is kind of a little bit subtle, but that's pretty nice. I turned it all the way up. Now let's hear it with everything. layers, then I start to hear a melody coming forward. It's not there yet, but it'll be there. So when I first recorded using the sound palette, this part was one of the major bases of it. Now I had that going through the entire song. I'm going to move this up to 16 bars, and I'm just going to have it as an accent throughout this particular version of this song. Just making things sound different, taste different this morning. Interesting, right? Interesting sound. One of the things I also really like is got the main samples here in the white keys, but then you can do all sorts of different changes to it using the minor keys. So that's what I'm going to do, and this is where a lot of artistry comes in. And not all of these make it into the final mix, because when I do the recording, then I'll do extensive editing to take out something that's just too much. And I listen to it over and over to be like, what's too much, what sounds good. Alright, let's see what's the next sound I'm going to work with over here. So this is beautiful, and as I'm putting in this one, because I use this as a main melody line in the original song too, I'm going to add some violins after I add this in, so get ready. Now I'm switching over to, this is a different plugin that I use, actually quite wonderful. This is from BBC Symphony Orchestra. It's where I get my orchestration from, so I'm going to put some violins in there. Making this one 32 bars, so I'll have some good room to move around in. Getting everything going. Oh, it sounded terrible. Start again. It's not what I'm hearing in my mind, so I'm trying again. I'll get it. Still not there. That was it. I'm also going to duplicate that, but I'm going to put the violins on a different setting. That is for like staccato. And I won't have the violins loud going through the whole entire thing, because that can be a little bit too much. It can be a little bit too schmaltzy. But you'll see. So now I'm going to put this on staccato. Turn down the original one. Up the new ones. Pizzicato. Too loud. Good. Not too loud. Wait, get the recording going. Start from the beginning. That's enough. That'll be enough throughout this whole entire song. Let's go back into arcade. And I like how when the samples are set up over here. Here, wait. Like I always know, mostly these ones over here are going to be percussion, and then we're going to get into some higher kind of more accent things over here. So as I'm moving upward, I'm gonna turn those up a little bit. They will actually be heard more easily. They need to be louder. I might make a violin or a cello line that mimics that. Alright, now let's hear it with the whole thing. Get everything going, get recording. So that part is what I'm going to mimic on the cello. Ba da ba 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 da ba ba. See how that sounds with everything going. That part's so down. Save everything. And I know I do the kitchen sink, I do everything, kitchen sink, everything. Yeah. And then you chop out more later. So you put in everything at first. Not you, I do. I add every spice, every flavor. Then I chop things out later. So let's just go a little bit more, since we haven't even done everything that we can with this. Sometimes every song doesn't need it. And so again, I already wrote a song that's called Aurora, that's based on this, and my name is Aurora, but I'm doing a different version of this. It'll sound different. Let's see what else we've got. This is one of the highest little accent sounds up there. And I love working with these fun FX that are here. So that's a beautiful accent. That will not be every 16 bars. That will be every 32 bars. It will not be all throughout the song. And that one too. Actually going to make it 64 because both of those are sounds that would become overwhelming if they were all throughout the entire song. So I'm going to make it a little bit louder. That's magical. Okay, now from the beginning. And get the recording going. sounds really, really nice. Save your file. And now I'm going to go into whatever I'm going to use for my solo on top of this, or the melody line. Because now that I've got all this wonderful texture, I'm feeling fantastic. And I'm like, melody line. And I've drank my coffee, melody line. All right. Yes, create a file. Here we go. And sometimes these songs become very complex. Sometimes I have a million levels of instrumentation. I love it. It depends on how much time. Sometimes I have just 15 minutes to write a song in the morning. Sometimes I have many, many hours. It depends upon what my day is looking like. So yeah, I'm going into Roly. I'm actually a huge fan of the Roly Seaboard Plus, but my instrument got bricked, and boy, oh boy, would I love to be able to get a new one. It was a firmware upgrade. Yeah, so I'm a fan also of the classic D lead, and I'm using that hooked into my MIDI synthesizer down here, but it's even nicer when you have the pressure-sensitive membrane of the Roly. And I'm going to change this because we're in A sharp minor. Okay, and now let's listen to the sound levels and what we've got. Sounds pretty good. Not too loud. Before I get going, I'm just going to get my, I need a running leap. I can't just start from the beginning. I actually need to turn this up a little. Sometimes I turn it up for while I'm playing so I can hear it, and I'll turn it down later. Let's start from the beginning now. Sometimes I need to have a few tries. Can't expect perfection in the moment every time. Okay. Bars in by the time I didn't like what I was playing there. Let me get going again. Running leap, it happens. Even didn't like the very first bars of that. Don't compromise. pretty much it. But that's not the end, but that's just saving everything now. Now we go through the editing process. So this is, I'm sure, a lot to watch, to go through, but I'm going to do my recording over here. And just to save a bit of time, I'll just extend all of those outward. And I listen and I listen and I listen through all of these, usually on a regular morning if I have time. And then sometimes add more layers. I did hit a few wrong notes there in my synth playing. That's okay. I can fix those up. So I'm gonna, oh, and I usually bring these songs out to whatever, 100 bars or so. That's a good song length. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's where I've got that about out to. And then the beginning of the song and the end of the song really matters. How you chop those two things. And a lot of people like to loop my songs and listen to them over and over and over. So I like to make sure that my beginnings and ends match up in a nice Mobius strip of infinity. So that's what I'm going to start off with, the beginning and the end. And then I'll chop all the extraneous stuff out of the middle. And then you have a song. And then you walk your dog. It's my dog just, I don't know if you saw her off camera. She woke up out of her dog bed. She's like, hey, you better walk me soon. That's my morning. Yep, usually in pajamas. Here, I wanna bring this song to a little bit more of a satisfying completion before I end this video. So what I'm doing is just making a nice kind of ragged cut to the things that I'm going to be ending on. So if my solo ends here, I want to have some of my percussion end a little bit before that. I want to have some of these more amorphous and interesting electronic reverberative sounds kind of reverberate afterwards and have some spotlight for themselves, as they're mostly textural and in the background during the rest of the song. So let's listen to, like, here's the end of, and maybe a little bit of my violin quote unquote playing, or playing quote unquote, playing in quotes. Violins are there, am I playing them? I like that a lot. Good. Yeah. So, because you could hear that was actually beautiful and perfect. You could hear that pizzicato line of that gets lost in the song. You don't hear it that much, but we keep it out to the end. Here, listen. That was this one here. We didn't even see it properly. There we go. I know sometimes it's a surprise. I'm like, what am I even hearing? What do I even hear? That sounds good. Here. It's too much though. So we're not going to go all the way out. Here, we'll go like this much. Perfect. That much. It's a fine line between having a good long outro and a good long intro. So wait, and then this, I'm not going to keep this line throughout the whole entire portion of this song, but I like some of this, the original hollow point percussion that I put on there. Some things that you can even tell when you're listening to them, you're like, that's going to be too boring if I hear that all the time. So if the song ends like this, and then if we start like this, go back to the beginning. Start on those violins, but then not have those violins throughout the whole entire thing. In fact, we don't even need them from this point onward. We're just going to have them have an appearance in the beginning, and then they're going to go bye-bye, and then they will return at the end. And this is big in terms of having your ears not get bored when you're listening to a song. When you listen to this, especially if you're writing in terms of looping songs, if you loop too much, people's ears are like, I'm bored and I will stop listening now. So I've got that chunk of violins in the beginning here, then I will have some chunk, and then I will have a little bit at the end, but we'll have to see how much of this chunk we like. The ones that are the little spiccato. Chop more stuff out in order for this to sound good because it's too much. Just going to chop a few more things out. I've got too much violins, it's way too schmaltzy. felt like it needed more clarity, less stuff going on. Moments of clarity, and then everything jumps back wrong note there, I'll fix it. Too much violin. Too much violin there. Another wrong note. Okay, so we only need a little bit save that file again. Now listen all the way through. I would go downstairs and get another cup of coffee right now. It's time for another cup of coffee, but let's just listen through. Listen while you drink your coffee. All right, let's just listen through. Then we have to walk the dog. Beautiful. Needs a little bit more work. I need another cup of coffee. I'll tell you what, I'm going to walk the dog, get another cup of coffee. I'm going to finalize this version, and you will be back at the very end for this version. Thank you very much, everyone. Library from Arcade by Output so much that it's pretty much on every song for this album that I did called Boomerang the Rectifier. And also, please be sure to check out Meta Liberation, which also uses samples from the arcade almost on every song. Thank you so much.